Greetings. I was inspired by the question about Arthur M. Young to then reread his books yesterday, just like speed read them, and I was looking for this the diagram he uses, the Argon plane, and then I was comparing that to relativity in terms of asymmetric time, because Arthur M. Young, he does emphasize that time is asymmetric in contrast to mainstream science. And I ended up discovering this research group out of Australia led by Professor James M. Chappell. And Chappell happens to be one of my family names also. And so I was reading these papers by James M. Chappell that he co-authored with half a dozen other PhD researchers and professors, and it's all about noncommutativity and how noncommutativity is able to unify quantum physics and relativity, and that um, even has a paper called the Vector Wars, and how it's basically it completely corroborates the negative math book by Professor Alberto Martinez that made the same claim. How non-commutativity got covered up and how it's the truth of relativity. So then I was looking into James M. Chappell again today. I was like, well, maybe he's on YouTube or something, and I couldn't find anything. And it then turns out his latest paper is about the James Webb discovery of these early galaxies in the universe, and they're trying to say, well, there must be more dark matter in the universe because that's the only way to explain these early gravity or early form galaxies. And he's saying no, if you understand that the Einstein equivalence principle is actually based on the gravitational potential energy as equivalent to frequency and time, then you have this asymmetric time um, that then explains why there's actually a change in mass as matter. In other words, the time is inverse to frequency, and the frequency is equivalent to momentum, and then the momentum is the gravitational potential energy as a change in mass from based on this. So it's not just time dilation; it's also dilation of mass as equivalent to energy frequency. And he doesn't, he just uses the phrase asymmetric time or time asymmetry several times in the paper. But when you realize he's writing this in the context of his half a dozen papers on non-commutative mathematics as the ability to properly understand relativity, then you realize, this is how he was able to solve the secret of this conundrum of the early formation of galaxies. And also he says this would explain primordial black holes in the universe. And it's just super super fascinating to have this corroboration of the non-commutative mathematics and how it explains cosmology. And um I had already emailed him right away about Professor Basil J. Hiley and said, well, you should check out Basil J. Hiley's um research on the quantum potential as being non-commutativity, because I said, physicists, even his direct colleagues, were ignoring Basil J. Hiley's focus on non-commutativity. But I said, but I know that you would not do that. So anyway, I will post a link in my in the chat session here and end this stream. But yeah, it's like this great secret hiding out in the open. It's a little too abstract for most people to wrap their heads around. but I'm just really thrilled. So